It's time for another Beyond Emissions podcast, brought to you by Sologent. We've been the largest pure-play solar distributor in the Americas, pioneering solar distribution since 1979. And yes, we have the goal, our ambitious goal of being your clean energy solution provider right here in the United States and around the world. And we're doing that. We're making a difference in our mission. Welcome. The namesake of the program is our mission, creating an emissions-free future, a world that is beyond emissions, economically, environment, the whole enchilada. We're going to discuss a lot of great things today about how to further this mission that we all share together, of creating a world that is beyond emissions. And the way we're going to do that, obviously, is what we all do every day in this business, which is continue to provide customers with great opportunities to save money on their electric bills, but also make a difference in the environment by creating and storing and sharing and selling their own clean energy produced by the power of the sun. How exciting is that we get to be a part of this amazing, amazing industry? I mean, really, think about it. You know, what do you get up and do every single day? If you're an installer listening to the Beyond Emissions podcast, thanks for being here. Homeowners as well. You know, you get up every single day, and if you know that your home is powered by renewable energy, doesn't that make you feel good? So not only is it better for your pocketbook, better for the environment, but you also go to bed at night feeling a lot better about yourself and the world that we're creating here together. So thank you so much for joining us again for the Beyond Emissions podcast here at Sologent, at the Sologent YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, comment down below. We want to hear your thoughts about what it's going to take to create this world that is beyond emissions. Also as well, catch all past episodes of the Beyond Emissions podcast right here at the Sologent YouTube channel. Also as well at Stitcher, iTunes, and Spotify. We have a very, very special guest today. I'm very excited to invite a friend of the program, Everett Brewer, CEO and founder of Storz Power. That's STORZ Power. Go to storzpower.com to find out more. Storz Power energy storage solutions are available right here at Sologent. Click on the link below to find out more. All right, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Everett Brewer, CEO and founder of Storz Power, joining us today on the Beyond Emissions podcast. Welcome to the program, Everett. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, doing great. Much appreciated for the time and the commitment here and everything you guys do to obviously take this to the next level, Josh. So really appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys.
And we get to do this for a living, Everett. I mean, not only
Right.
is it great for pocketbooks, great for the economy, great for the environment, great for the future, great for us all. But like I said in the monologue there, we actually get to have a lot of fun and feel really good about what we're doing, right? Everett, what does a world that is beyond emissions mean for you?
Ultimately here is that, beyond emissions ultimately takes on the human element, in my opinion, right? So protection of life, family, and multi-generational. And so when I think about the decisions that we make about today, it really comes down to that prosperity and something that sometimes is not really looked at. Sometimes we kind of get so focused on the here and now that we don't realize what that ongoing impact is. And so really trying to leave that legacy and a consideration of ways to reduce emissions, account for different types of economical decisions that allow for the future generation to consider these renewables investments you make today. Uniquely renewable energy is actually an appreciating asset, right? It continually has higher and higher impact and effect as it moves forward. And really just making sure education is actually processed through that to realize what impact we really have. That's really what it means to me.
And education. Yeah, you mentioned that, folks. Every single week, I'm the host here for the Beyond Emissions podcast. Josh Brum, welcome to the program if you're just joining us right now. I'm energy storage manager here at Sologent. By the grace of God, I've been able to have a lot of educational opportunities and life experiences and help with partners and folks who are smarter than I around the world, always coming on the program. And I even get a regular education with this great learning opportunity. Like Einstein said, don't seek to be successful, folks. Seek to be valuable. And that's exactly what you're doing when you tune in to the Beyond Emissions podcast. We have experts from around the world who join us here to talk about varying subjects, solutions to problems. Creating this world that is beyond emissions is not a one-man show. It's not something that you just figure out, go to a training one day, and boom, you're empowered. I've been learning, ongoing learning. I've been learning day after day, working with experts like Everett and his team at Stores Power and other great vendor partners and experts from around the world that come here to share their education and their knowledge with us here at the Beyond Emissions podcast. Education is key. Former CEO of Battery Systems, where I used to work, where I started my battery career back in 2006. Brad Streelman had 3 keys to success, and I memorized them because it changed my life. Have a plan, always be looking for new opportunities, and number 3, my favorite, never stop learning. These are great learning opportunities, right, Everett?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes it's through secondary influence. Sometimes it just hits you right in the face, right between the eyes, right? There's multiple ways to learn. And I mean, the collaborative effort that we've seen across the entire industry, the fact that we have platforms such as yours that allow us to get to multiple different listeners across the entire globe, really, there's really no limit. So it's just a matter of making that commitment and having a plan and always having the ability for learning. So I really appreciate those pillars that you stated.
We are going to learn a lot today. Again, Everett Brewer, CEO and founder from Stores Power. That's Stores with a Z. Stores Power. Available right here at Sologent. Click on the link below to find out more. Or if you'd like to get a customized one-on-one training, white glove service for you and your client, just reach out to me, storage@sologent.net. Storage@sologent.net, and I'm happy to get with Everett and his team and schedule a one-on-one training for you and your team. For those of you that are listening who are installers and customers, etc., working with Sologent on a daily basis. We want to continue this education as well beyond today's podcast. A lot of things going on. Differentiation is something that is key to being successful. I don't know if you know this, folks, but you can echo my sentiments, Everett. When I go to the RE Plus shows and the big Intersolar and all the big players in energy storage from around the world, as energy storage manager, I have people courting me nonstop. You've got to carry our battery. Everybody has a battery. And what I see is a lot of copycats, people getting into the game late. Stores Power has been in the game for a while, but you made some big advancements using artificial intelligence, AI-powered systems included. I think that's a big differentiator. You're not going to be like most of these folks that all have another battery for us to look at. The differentiation is it's no longer the needle in the haystack. It really stands out because of some of the new technological advantages of Stores Power. Talk a little bit about how AI is really going to make a big difference in helping customers.
Yeah, really good question. I mean, the word AI right now is heavily used. Sometimes it has some utility to it. Sometimes it's just a coin phrase. But, years back, we actually started using software and AI. We're really a technology company that just so happens to manufacture batteries. And our approach to the AI has actually strictly been around risk mitigation. And when we talk about risk mitigation, it actually accounts for protection of the hardware and the asset itself. So typically what we found is that other products throughout the market have really wide thresholds, which means when that outside environment traditionally starts contributing to things outside of line, eventually it accounts for premature wear, and then ultimately over time can actually contribute to premature failure. And so what we've actually done is we've actually tightened up the parameters of our software and continually find ways to learn where the software actually gets smarter and smarter over time, where as a result of that is, as you can see, we've got over 35,000 batteries deployed of our latest model. And through that position, we've actually only had 4 warranty claims last year and only 4 warranty claims this year in a 12-year span. And so because we're able to go through and go to protection instead of failure, it makes it a lot more addressable, where the service provider can go out to site, actually correct that outside environment. Sometimes the utility grid, sometimes it's the changes throughout the home where you've had some type of electrical work done at the property. Sometimes it's just standard wear and tear from things from the rooftop to the ground. And the fact that we can go through there and go through that correction and then simply just push reset and get back to work can change the outcome and obviously the mental health of a scenario such as that, especially for your installers, especially for your homeowners. Quick ways to get the product back up and operational and making sure you're getting back to work to its original purpose. That's really the big driver, is risk mitigation. Through that, we also have the ability to look at different diagnostics. And through these diagnostics, we're able to come through and get a lot more granular so we can get to the solution faster. A lot of people state is that, it's not the challenge of having a problem, it's how you address that problem and what the customer or the installer, whoever the end consumer is in this position, can allow us to get to that solution quick and then get back to work. No difference in the vehicle I just picked up from the service center earlier this morning. The fact is they're able to get to it, be efficient, get right back out. I'm a happy customer. So that's what we're really focusing on.
Yes, you do. With white glove service as well. I've seen offerings, seen emails. Hey, when this customer X that's considering the battery that we're talking about on the email thread with the Stores Power team, Everett Brewer, CEO and founder of Stores Power, here at the Beyond Emissions podcast, Stores Power with a Z. .com. Click on the link below to find out more. We've got Stores Power solutions available for you here at Sologent. The customer that would have been on that email thread back and forth with the Stores Power team all of a sudden was very impressed, because all of a sudden Stores Power comes back on the final email and says, oh, by the way, let them know that we'll make sure we send an engineer to the install at no charge for white glove service. I saw that in an email, and I know that's not always needed and that's not always the case, but I don't know of another storage partner that really offers that. I mean, except for maybe big C&I jobs, commercial jobs.
Right.
That's phenomenal. Talk a little bit about that, Everett.
Yeah, absolutely. So, ultimately is that there's a lot of really new procedures and processes that are still getting developed and created. And so the adoption for those that are actually the implementers in the industry, the installers, the engineers, the design and CAD team, the guys that are actually doing the physical permits, stamping those plans, making sure they're turning wrenches on the job. A lot of times this is new to them, right? And so what's worse than, feeding to the wolves and hopefully they can keep up? That's not how we operate. We try to do a very risk-adverse approach, where first off, we have a full certification program that's actually online courses. They're done live, which is great. There's a physical person behind it. It's not just some course you go through there and click through. So it's very personalized, able to go through the massive Q&A. But after you've gone through this online course, that's a lot of information retained. We actually want to take that to where we're applying that knowledge. And that's where we start we start playing house. So through that, there's 4 steps of white glove service where we're along the way. First off is, from a sales standpoint, you can be in the middle of a presentation or getting prepared for a presentation. And through that process, we are available on the phone, via chat, either way, to make sure that you have all the technical questions answered, leveraging our tools for configuration, which is also available at storespower.com. Click on Configure My System. And ultimately, to making sure the proper expectations are passed off to the consumer where their system's accurate as an end result. Once that's now been transacted, we actually get involved with the permitting, engineering, and CAD team, where we have plan sets that are already pre-done. Our engineering teams train to make sure that map, that roadmap, which ultimately is what the installer is going to be following in the field, is accurate, and it counts for all the proper electrical codes and procedures, and we really train that process through there. And then our installation tier is we either video in or we're in person, where we're actually walking them through that first 3 to 5, 10 jobs where we're hands-on. And then we like to do a follow-up process where we like to get feedback how we can continually improve our process, and then how that installer can improve their process. Now, because of this white glove service that's very hands-on, a lot of people say, well, how can you afford to do this? How we look at it is, how can you afford not to do this? Because in this scenario, you have a great outcome, which means you have raving fans of installers, which are ultimately the ones that are boots on the ground, rubber of the road. And in that scenario, what happens is that we do a ton of reduction of servicing. We get less than 30 service calls a week here at Stores Power because we were so proactive on the onboarding of every single tier of the company that the byproduct is just quality. So that's the big focus that we have with Stores Power.
So the upfront investment that you make providing that white glove service for installers, especially on the job site for their first 3 to 5 jobs so that they can really become experts, hands-on doing it themselves, you making that upfront investment at Stores Power actually helps the cost come down overall for you and your company overall, reducing your service calls to just very few versus if you talk to manufacturers out there, they get a ton of service calls, but they're not providing that upfront investment like you guys, huh?
That's correct. And it's actually a control piece, right? With inflation nowadays and cost of labor and availability of labor, the fact is that I know what my margin is today. I know what my cost items are. In that scenario, use that recent, very real data and actually apply that and do that investment because it offsets risk that you still don't have full visibility for.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Everett Brewer, CEO and founder of Stores Power, here with us today as our special guest at the Beyond Emissions podcast. Thanks again, folks, for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment down below if you have any questions. We can also get you Stores Power solutions right here at Sologent. Again, email me storage@sologent.net. I'll connect you with that white glove service at Stores Power. We're excited to work with you, Everett, and your team. Erin Curry worked with her so far very, very well. I'm excited for what 2024 is going to bring. Your differentiation of that AI, in addition to sizing and designing. Oh my God! You mentioned the configuration tool, the designs tool. Okay, I'm going right here. Stores, follow along with me, folks. Storespower.com. Go there right now. Configure system, the AI experience. Oh my God! What do you need to power? Okay, this many fridges, this many microwaves. Wow, you just plus. You just add in the quantity of everything: EV charger, electric heating, internet, TV, fans, lights, security system. Well pump, you account for it all. Oh my gosh. So customers can literally just fill in all of their usage and their loads with or without a solar power system, self-consumption battery or battery backup. Wow. You account for the NEM 3 differential. Customers who don't need battery backup, but they still want to use a battery to go ahead and get that ROI for their solar. Lots of variables. Talk a little bit about this configuration tool at your website, Everett.
Absolutely. I mean, the key aspect of this is that what we call you use one of our pillars: educate, differentiate, and then demonstrate, right? So those are the 3 aspects that we try to account for. And really understanding this very complex industry and trying to put it into that calculator is pretty complex. But ultimately we need a story. We need a pathway. And as you progress down on that page, you'll even see some of the key benefits, more visuals for the consumer, and really allowing them to have an educated decision right then and there without having to do an additional research. Like one thing you brought up earlier is that like RE Plus and some of these other players, the copycats that are out there, we did a survey of all of the batteries that were on the floor at RE Plus earlier this year, largest renewable energy conference in the country for those that are attending here. And through that, 88% of the batteries could not even pass a permit requirement for certifications in the United States. Only 12% of the products on the market were able to be applicable in 50% of the markets or less. So it's really important to realize what is, fiction or fact, right? So we can make sure we can account for accuracy and what can be applied. Through the tool, we're able to come through there and also have a really good expectations. Nothing's worse than a homeowner experience where a rep is stating what they thought was accurate on how a battery operates, and then all of a sudden the site auditor or the installer shows up and says, hey, what 4 breakers do you want to back up for that emergency or essential loads, and the homeowner's like, wait a minute, I thought I was getting a whole home battery backup. That's a significant difference. And the number one challenge of cancellation is change. So how do you avoid change? Set the expectation first. And so that's what it really comes down to. And then also with policy now, you talked about net metering 3.0 in California, the latest policy that now reduces the value of solar that's generated beyond how much your home can consume. We really got to look at how a battery becomes the grid. It becomes an asset of grasping the excess energy that your home can't consume when it's producing off the rooftop, and then making sure that that battery is able to be a main power resource when the sun goes down. That way you can offset very heavy, expensive costs of energy. And that is starting to really cover all across the United States. Arizona just did a major reduction where they're in Arizona doing a massive training for the entire state, super neutral event. Welcome to attend anytime. We have here in Utah, you have Arkansas, you have Tennessee, Hawaii, all these markets to where the value that the utility company used to give you has now been significantly diminished as much as 80%. So that self-consumption toggle allows us to now look at things a little bit differently, where it's like, you know what, I'm not worried about backup, or I'm not really there yet in my path on looking at energy storage or renewable energy. But however, I do need to have that independence. I do need to make sure I'm gaming the system in a way that I win based on how the utility wins. So that's what we can do for you.
And we also have to look at return on investment and just overall value over the life of the system. Everett Brewer, CEO and founder of Storz Power, that's Storz with a Z. Go to storzpower.com to find out more. Click on the link below or email me, storage@solagent.net, and I will connect you with a Storz Power representative and a Solagent representative right away to help figure out the right system and right components for you and your customers. Or if you're a homeowner listening, we'll connect you with a Storz Power installer so you can get the right solution for you and your family. But, you know, when I think of the ROI over the long term, I think of some of the other players. You talked about, you know, some of the other players that don't even have the right certifications. But I'm talking about some of the other players on the market that are talking about ROI and self-consumption only with no battery backup. And then they put together this presentation, but their battery gets 4,000 cycles at 90 to 100% depth of discharge, and they don't even look at it and say, you know what, that battery should only be discharged at 80% depth of discharge to get max life expectancy. But they don't do that. They just, I guess, squeeze every bit of juice out of it as possible, but now you're shortening the life. So 4,000 divided by 365, if it's one cycle per day, which is how it should be done, 10.95 years. It's a 10-year warranty on the pretend battery situation I'm talking about right now. That means on year 11, the customer, for a 25-year system and investment, their ROI is, supposedly going to get an earlier payoff using this battery or whatever from this other supplier that has 4,000 cycles. But if they actually have to buy another battery in year 11 and the warranty expires at year 10, that really messes up with their ROI math. I'm looking at your website, and you say on your website at storzpower.com under the warranty section, now offering a 25-year warranty on all batteries. That's the life of the system. That's awesome. Yep. That marries up with the investment period that the customer's truly making when they go solar and storage, right, Everett?
Absolutely. Yeah. The key thing is that these systems are getting more and more efficient and accounting for longer and longer investment returns. And in this position, we wanted to make sure we align with the industry. So all the years that we've had in business and all the data and all the crunching of the reliability of the product, we were confident in the fact that we could offer that 25-year warranty, 8,000 charge and discharge cycles with a performance guarantee. And that's one thing that we're really proud of. So that heavily aligns for additional financing vehicles as well, as the consumers now are looking to get in the creative financing aspect of how do I pay for my system where I have a low monthly payment, where I see a return on investment. And now we're able to actually offer even more options for the consumers because that 25-year warranty is the enablement for leases and PPAs, prepaids. that may be one of the offers in front of them.
Yeah, the ROI makes sense if the battery's going to last 20 plus years. But if the battery's only going to last, 11 or 12 years before it reaches the degradation point of 70% of its original capacity, like some of the NMC, nickel, manganese, cobalt chemistries that are out there, then that really messes with the ROI math for the customer. God love them, but you're not being honest to the customer if you're telling them that, hey, here you go, buy this battery, and don't tell them about the replacement in year 12. And then do all the math for the ROI. It's not being honest. I'm looking at it from a reality check situation, not just trying to sell stuff. And, at the end of the day, that's not right. Talk about the second battery purchase in year 11 or 12 they're going to have to make, because by the time that NMC battery reaches that 70% of the original capacity in year 11 or 12, 4,000 cycles or so, it's going to drop like a rock after that. It's not going to hover around 70% for another 10 years. That's just not how it works, right, Everett?
That's correct. I mean, different chemistry aspects up there definitely have a significant different energy profile beyond that 70%. What's great about with lithium iron phosphate, which I'm sure you've touched on this a few different times through your podcast, is just strictly around the safety component of it. Puncturing the product, crushing, vibration, no off-gassing, no explosion, no fire. So it's a safe, comfortable product that you can put within the home. And with that being said, it has much more resilience on the long end of that cycle life, and ultimately able to take a lot more abuse, work harder, account for better savings because it can discharge very high and also charge very high. So that's some of the key benefits where you're actually increasing your return on investment or reducing your return on investment, and the fact that this product can do more with less. So our model here at Storz is build a smarter battery, not a bigger battery, with emphasis on sustainability. I believe that manufacturing should be looking at a sustainable contribution to the world and its future, and also affordability, where we believe that energy should be a right, not a privilege. And we're trying to drop that barrier of entry as much as possible, because there should be no limit on being able to protect your home and your family in any way, shape, or form.
Beyond Emissions podcast got Storz Power CEO and founder with us, Everett Brewer. Really appreciate you being here and sharing your knowledge with us. Folks, Storz Power Solutions are available right here at Sologent. You can buy it today. Get your email fingers ready to rock. That's right. storage@sologent.net. Email me, and I'll connect you with Everett's team at Storz Power for that white glove service, getting a true ROI. A 25-year warranty now being offered on all batteries. That is second to none. I think the best that your competitors can do out there right now are 15. There's a couple of competitors that are 15 years. So 25, that's phenomenal. Now, kind of talking about the incentives, you mentioned regarding, all the different permits, et cetera, compliance issues on install, you guys support there. That's fantastic, by the way. But in addition to that, what about, what do homeowners need to do to figure out how they can access some of these incentives for storage that California has? Everybody knows about the 30% federal tax credit, although most people don't know the IRA allows standalone storage with no solar to get that 30% federal tax credit. And I think most people
also a retrofit.
Ooh, yeah. AC couple a retrofit as well. Absolutely. But what about some of the other incentives? One of the things I've seen, and from your perspective, Everett, as CEO of Storz Power and a player in this industry, I'd like your opinion. Is it too convoluted, too hard to access SGIP? Folks, that's California's self-generation incentive program, a rebate program for homeowners to get storage. Is that too difficult and too cumbersome to access, or what are your thoughts about that? Does Storz Power provide any assistance to customers in that area?
Yeah, great question. So the self-generation incentive program actually is a great vehicle to help increase your payback on this scenario where you can reduce those line items. And just so everybody knows, the market or utility is going to vary on what the incentive may be. And there actually is a meeting that's December 15th for, California.gov. Take a look at it, get involved, listen in to see what the next tier of incentives are going to be, how they're going to be looking at some of the quicker adoptions where that barrier of entry is down. But today, it is a little intimidating. That process can actually take up to a year to follow. However, there's many third parties that Storage Power works with that we can actually connect you to as a homeowner or as an installer, so that way you can actually just offer that right up as a service. They can actually do that and do all the mundane paperwork, account for all the application process, and making sure they follow it to the end as an end result. But right now, homeowners are getting anywhere from right now about $150 per kilowatt hour all the way up to about $700 a kilowatt hour. It used to be $1,000 a kilowatt hour. So definitely don't waste your time, because these incentives kind of drop on a tiered system as they go, potentially being re-upped with some of the decisions and meetings on December 15th. But ultimately, that is money that's available. Secondly is that there are actually going to be some grid services programs that will be available through Storage Power next year, where this will actually account for a monthly incentive, where you can actually get paid on an ongoing basis for having capacity available on the grid to also help with return on investment. So look out for that. Also many other markets across the country. So not only just including California, but some states like Texas and Utah and Virginia, Vermont, Florida, etc., actually have rebates and incentives for bringing your own battery right today in addition to that. And it's actually not as mundane of a process as SGIP, but definitely get involved. There's actually a company called Desire, DESIR.com. You can look up and see what different types of programs or incentives are available. And ultimately, Storage Power can obviously bring some education along the way if you get, know what's happening in your local market.
VPP, virtual power plants. That's what he's talking about, folks. I mean, monthly or quarterly, depending on the program you're using. Sounds like Storage Power is creating great relationships with entities to help you take advantage of the revenue stream you could have coming in addition to your savings and battery backup that you'll have for your home. You could also have it creating a revenue stream. That, depending on the size of the system, are there limitations? Can someone oversize their storage system to maximize the amount of revenue they can get from a virtual power plant program, or are there limitations? Everett?
Absolutely. There's definitely a really good target efficiency size that each program is unique. For example, is that the optimal size in Vermont is actually going to include 30 kilowatt hours, believe it or not, on a 3-hour deployment. And you can get actually up to $8,600 as a quick example of a direct rebate from the utility company on top of your electric bill savings. So many different types of programs that are out there. And that's what's nice is that the White Glove team will work with your installer or you as an installer to help really maximize on what the best approach is to maximize the best incentives all the way through.
Everett Brewer, CEO, founder of Storage Power, here with us today on the Beyond Emissions podcast, brought to you by Sologent. Again, folks, Storage Power with a Z. Storage Power, AI powered. How cool is that? It's like Star Trek, man. Available here at Sologent. Click on the link below to find out more. Also as well, again, would you like to have an opportunity to learn more about how you can help customers? I'm talking to our installer customers that are listening right now, solar businesses that are listening. Would you like to have the ability providing this value proposition from Storage Power and Sologent to your customers? Email me today, storage@sologent.net. That's storage@sologent.net. Your inverter that you utilize, you mentioned some folks out there, they're hello, I'm selling solar and batteries too. And then the battery is, less than 10 kilowatt hours, and that's supposed to back up their whole house, which of course it doesn't. You mentioned that. And lot of over-promising and under-delivering. God love them. Just people out there trying to make a living, but they don't know what they're talking about. And managers who just drive them to make sales, and they don't care. They just, come on, what are your sales this month?
Right.
But you actually care. And that really makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Massive difference. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you're seeing massive impact. Right now, we've got a unique economy. And right now, when someone looks to making an investment, you're really looking at the protection of that family in many different ways, and including their pocketbook, and making sure you're hitting those targets online. And actually takes the entire industry to really approach that project and really identify the true outcome. It comes from the best practices and training to a sales representative, all the way down to the software tool that they chose to work with, making sure the modeling is correct on how much energy they need, what kind of savings can be calculated, all the way down to the efficiency of materials and the quality of materials using tier one manufacturers. So that way you have something back for the longevity of these products, and where that investment is there to stay for that full 25 years beyond. And so we really want to make sure we're taking care of the human. Stop selling and realize that there's a person on the other side of that couch or that kitchen table, and really look at the human element, because they care about you as much as you care about them. How would you like to be treated?
Yes.
So I really want to focus on that.
Yes. Tell the truth, people. Believe it or not, sometimes the solution you might be selling might not even be right for that customer. Be willing to tell them that. Or, right. If what you're offering them because of their budget is only going to back up the 4 circuits of a fridge and 2 lights, then tell them that. Be honest with them. That's the number one thing. They will respect that honesty. And in the long run, you'll gain a better reputation and you'll be a lot more successful that way. Whole home backup is one of the biggest travesties in our business as far as just, providing unrealistic expectations, overselling, under-delivering by a lot of salesmen out there, salespeople out there. God love them. Again, they're doing the best they can, some of them, and they probably need better leadership to teach them how to do it right. It is what it is. But that's why we're here. We want to educate you, folks that are listening, so that you know the right way to do this. Whole home backup, capable, stores power. You partner with the best inverter in the universe. Solark inverters, like the Swiss Army knife of inverters, is my saying. We had John Cromer on a couple shows ago from Solark, and I'm really good friends with the founders, Tom, Brennan, Bavno O'Brien. I love them. They're phenomenal people, a phenomenal team, amazing support, and their technology that Stores Power has adopted on the inverter side really allows for a lot of flexibility for you to help customers, right? Talk a little bit about Stores' connection with Solark inverters. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the big approach that we had many years ago, I think it's been 6 years now that we've been working alongside with Solark, an incredible relationship, is that we had this really high-performing battery. And then as we were scouring the world, literally, for the right engine to marry it up to, we actually found that there was a ton of limits out there, that these other products out there were limited to really being able to support the horsepower or the load profile of an everyday kitchen, let alone, keeping the internet router running on top of hot water access to any type of emergency response considerations, that those around medical equipment, et cetera. And there was just a really, really big gap in the market. And Solark was really able to come through to where that perfect marriage, where our battery has such a good amount of energy flow that we wanted to make sure that we weren't choked out, because we put all this time and investment in the highest performing battery. And, I always kind of make the joke is that, in reference to the battery, I'm glad you can bench 500 pounds, but you skip leg day. Because you ultimately married it up to a really, really small inverter, and that inverter is what's really that power. So think of it this way. The inverter is the engine on your car. How much can you tow, etc. Then the battery is really the gas tank, and then how big of a fuel line that you can actually support that engine. The bigger the fuel line, the bigger the engine, the more you can tow. You're not going to bring a Prius to a tractor pull. You're going to make sure you're bringing a a big diesel pusher to make sure that happens. And that's what the perfect marriage was between those two components. And then ultimately just a quality control aspect. We actually have the same practices where every product is independently inspected and tested at each station of transit and before it even goes out to the field. So failure rates and ultimately dependability is significantly higher than anything we've ever seen. Just really happy with them. It's
second to none. And another thing we talked about earlier, depth of discharge on batteries. If you take a lithium iron phosphate battery all the way down to 90 to 100% depth of discharge every single cycle, cycle, folks, being if its battery's fully charged, discharges down and charges back up again, that's one cycle. That's how we determine how much life expectancy you're going to get for usable energy. And most companies it's all about the throughput. Yeah, but if halfway through the life of it, you're only getting 40% of the capacity, it doesn't matter. You're getting lifetime throughput, but now day in, day out, you're buying all that energy from the grid instead of taking it out of your battery because it's not available. So sizing is so important. Depth of discharge, if you take a lithium iron phosphate battery down to 100% or 90%, as an example, you might only get, 6,000 cycles, which just to do the math, folks, getting calculator out here, 6,000 divided by 365, 16.43 years of life. But, you might get closer to 8,000 cycles if you're at 80% depth of discharge. Folks, how do you do that? You size your battery system 20% larger than your customer's daily kilowatt hour energy need. 8,000 cycles divided by 365. 21.91 years of life before you hit that 70% or so degraded capacity. Now, this is where your artificial intelligence and software comes into play, right, Everett, in making sure you can tell folks, hey, you're going to get that life expectancy, that 10,000 cycles or so of life expectancy that exceeds the 25-year investment period. I'm assuming because the AI is ensuring that you never go deeper than a certain amount of depth of discharge or keeps all of those cycling parameters more consistent than they otherwise would be without AI. And I'm circling back on the original conversation today. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the secret sauce in how our equipment works is that we are just very, very tight in where the parameters are. So we are never challenging the longevity of our product. It is within this window of operation or it's not. That means our battery is either operating or it's in protection. And so because we never allow for that bad environment to come into that battery, it counts for the protection longevity. Secondly is that we have a really, really strong thermal condition inside the battery, which means we're not accounting for temperature. Heat is the catalyst of damage and premature wear. Every single electrical component, the car you drive, the tires that are rubber on the road, all of that is contribution of premature wear. And so this is where we have a really, really strong thermal condition. There's over 66 pounds of aluminum inside of each battery module at 5 kilowatt hours. So I'll let that kind of translate if those of you guys understand some of the engineering behind that, where we keep our batteries very, very strong from a temperature standpoint, also extends the lifespan of this product. And then very, very dynamic, active and passive, at the same time, BMS balancing. So the cells are fully talking to each other, fully balanced. No one is doing more work than the other. So everybody's doing the task at hand and those little cells inside, and that counts for longevity as well. All of that has to be run by software. So that's where we come in.
Yeah. Not just a battery company, but a technology company in a sense, right, at Stores Power?
That's right. Yeah, we're really a technology company that layered on top of batteries to account for the best product on the market.
What are some of the developments, whether it pertains to what the utilities are doing policy-wise, or maybe some of your competitors that are out there in the field, including what you're doing behind the scenes, research and development at Stores Power for the future? What are some of the most interesting developments going on, in your opinion, right now, from your spot?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of our research and development actually is happening from markets that are a lot more mature than the United States. European market, the Australian market, what they've done and more or less learning from their mistakes more than what their successes have been. So some of that is that how everything becomes a distributed grid. What that means is right now, we're technically a distributed grid across the United States today, but that load is being distributed along process and procedures that are majority fossil fuel based, right? Or technologies that are very expensive to maintain, that continually just increase that grid dependence in some ways, but also increase the cost of that grid dependent availability in there. Look at Texas and where some of the infrastructure failures have happened there. So what we're really looking at right now in the future is that how we actually work alongside with utility companies. That's from bringing more users in at a homeowner level or a business level to where it's actually a harmonious relationship where there's actually accounting for the economics for all parties involved, to independent securities within the utility infrastructure itself, which, just so you know, the number one thing that's attacked in the United States is actually the grid. From a security standpoint, from homeland security all the way down, how can we make sure that that's protected and in sync and able to protect people's lives? So I believe that that's one thing that we are heavily focusing on, is how we can actually work in collaboration. I know the utilities look at that they're the bad guys. Some cases there's some bad actors there, but ultimately is they have the same challenges that are actually a byproduct of the consumption, all the conveniences of life that we have here in America, and the EV trend that's actually in the rise, how we can support that kind of infrastructure. And we really have to look at this collaboratively. So we're looking at government, local, and consumer level to make sure that has one voice and able to account for all economics as a benefit.
Everett Brewer, CEO and founder of Stores Power, here with us today on the Beyond Emissions podcast. You mentioned EV. I know Stores Power utilizes the solar converter technology. Had John on a couple shows ago, like I mentioned from Solarc, and he talked a little bit about how there's the gen input, the generator AC power input for the Solarc 15K as an example, that you could actually land an EV charger right there. I'm assuming that you're excited about EV adoption and how Stores Power. By the way, Stores Power available right here at Sologent, folks. Click on the link below. How Stores Power is going to help customers who adopt EV and EV chargers for their systems as well, right? You excited about that? Talk about that, Everett.
We're very excited about the EV trends that are happening, and some of the future policy that's actually going to be a part of that, which can contribute to additional economic value at a homeowner or a business level. And we'll probably touch on that another time. But the big aspect of EV that we're actually finding is the actual correct application of how an EV should or should not be charged. So we actually have a full training opportunity here at Stores Power, which is included in all of our onboarding documentations for our partnerships, which we'd love to extend out to the homeowner level as well. And making sure to understand, how can EV not only be a literal vehicle in this scenario, but also not be a negative impact. Let it be a dividend, not a tax, when it comes to home charging. Over 80% of America actually is charging from home. And that's a good and a bad thing. From the utility side, it's a bad thing because we have large energy loads in those afternoon hours. And then from a homeowner standpoint, it's a negative because usually in most markets, which is actually going to start growing, is the cost of energy is much higher when we're come home and plug in. And what are the expectations? So we actually have some control and modulation coming out next year where we can actually stay within the parameters of the best economic benefit and using AI to forecast and be ahead of the trends so they can actually stay within the return on investment that was on that original proposal and why they went solar to begin with, and accounting for that battery and its best utilization. Nothing's worse than coming home and plugging into your home, seeing this big energy spike. From 4 to 9 p.m., which is the highest energy usage profile of any residential market in America, we're already seeing energy loads of 9, 12, and 15 kilowatts of active power. You go put on a level 2 charger, adding 9 to 12 kilowatts on top of that. Just imagine what you'd have to do to make sure all that comes from a battery. Even a single 15K Solarc with a Stores Power battery system can't output that. Does it make sense to add a second system just for a 4-hour window? No. the economics will never play. But the reality of it is I'm plugged into my home for 12 to 16 hours a day. And if I actually just reduce the charge rate of that vehicle down to 2 amps, 5 amps at a lower rate of 1.8 to 3 kilowatts, what happens is I'm still getting 30 to 60 miles in range per day of charging, which most average commuting in the United States is 47 miles or less. So that's already accomplishing your goal. You're not putting a big taxing load profile on the grid, which the utility doesn't want it.
The amps that are being charged into the battery over a longer period of time, you can actually decrease the amount of energy or the amount of kW that you're buying at one time, pulling from the utility. So you literally could slow charge it rather than there's no reason to dump all that energy into your car battery in 2 or 3 hours. And I mean, the cost effectiveness that makes sense. There's a right way and a wrong way to EV charge.
That's correct. Yeah. I mean, be a part of the solution. And because right now infrastructure and all those challenges, they're very real. And so this is one way you can contribute by still having the physical value as a consumer.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's what we do here at Stores is we really look at energy as a whole and finding ways to properly educate so it can still be an asset, not a tax.
Now, a lot of customers who would love to be able to use their PV array and what's being produced from that during the sunshine part of the day to charge up their EV vehicle, but their electrical vehicle. But most of the time they're at work or away from home, like you mentioned. So unless you're working at home, you're not really able to take advantage of the PV directly into your electrical vehicle, charging situation. You're going to be taking it either from your battery system or from the grid if the sun's not shining, which is where, most of our customers are at. So if you're going to have to pull from your battery or you're going to have to pull from the grid, it's best to do so in a reduced rate over a longer period of time, and you'll still get all the same amount of kilowatt hours in there. It's like filling up your pool. Rather than turning the spigot on full blast, just turn it on halfway or what have you. It's going to get filled up slower, but it's still going to get filled up, right, Everett?
That's right. You're still going to get filled up, and time is in your favor. And ultimately you're putting less load on grid, battery, solar, all the way across the board. An average Tesla is going to get anywhere from 3 to 3.2 miles for every kilowatt hour. Think of that like how many miles per gallon you get in your car. And so if I'm just putting 10 kilowatt hours into my car, I'm getting 30 miles of range for the following day. But I did that over a 10-hour period. You didn't tax the grid, and you also didn't have to start buying from the utility company, especially if you're in markets like California or Arizona, which are all key self-consumption markets. So this is the way to take advantage of all assets at an economical value. So that proposal becomes true that you originally signed up for.
Right. And the EV charger most likely is 240 volts AC. So if you drop that down, that charge rate to 2 amps and you adjusted it, that's 240 amps times volts equals watts, Ohm's law, folks. 240 volts AC times 2 amps. And by the way, we're not talking DC amps. AC and DC amps different, but we can do the equation if you like. So that looks at that's 400 and what is that? 480 watts. Oh my gosh! So it's like half a kilowatt hour per an hour. That ends up costing a lot less than if you just dump everything into your vehicle over a couple of hours. I can see what you're talking about, Everett.
I mean, if anything, too, is that if you don't want to do the calculation, or maybe your level 2 charger doesn't allow for programming to reduce the charge rate, every EV vehicle that I've ever come across has always had a 110 level 1 EV charger that is plugged in the wall, and you're going to get an average of 1.5 to 1.8 kilowatts of power output. So for every hour. So in that case, at 1.5 times 3, you're getting 4.5 miles of range every hour you're plugged in. Yes, it's slow, but I'm plugged in for 10 hours a night. That's 45 miles. Is that supporting your commute the following day? High likely that it is.
Yes. In other words, be smart and realize that you can actually extend the life of your EV. You can extend the range. Yes. You can lower your cost versus per gallon of gas and make it truly affordable. That is phenomenal. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, and your car battery is going to last way longer too.
Dude, I love math. Everett Brewer with us, CEO and founder of Stores Power. Stores Power is available right here at Sologent. Click on the link below, storage@sologent.net. Email me to get connected to these folks. You guys, you really went in the right direction there. Math is key in our business. I know we have a lot of homeowners and installers and solar company employees and owners that do business with Sologent, and lots of folks that are listening here to the Beyond Emissions podcast. But I also know, Everett, just like when I was a kid, I was captive to whatever my mom and dad were listening to, talk radio or whatever in the vehicle. So if kids are listening, kids and grandkids, if you're listening with your parents or grandparents, to the Beyond Emissions podcast right now, I want to speak to you. Everett, speak to them about the importance of math, science, and engineering. What we just did with the calculator right now and your strategy for EV charging could make a huge difference for people, their pocketbooks, and frankly, the environment, the world, the grid. Everybody wins. But that all happened by a math equation that we just did together. The importance of math, learning. We need more engineers in this country. Talk to those kids that are in the vehicles listening with their parents and grandparents.
The big thing is that the next 25 years of the current and young generation will be the biggest adopters of renewable energy that we've ever seen in the entire world in itself. So the fact is that generation is also very conscious. They're looking at different aspects of what they can affect, what they can influence. And ultimately right now, the planet is a big conversation around that. So understand as you guys go through and start looking for different avenues of ways to impact the world, despite the fact that every kid's just trying to get behind a phone and become an influencer in that, what are you influencing? What are you actually messaging? Get involved in a way that renewable energy is something that will keep on giving beyond your lifespan. And right now, there's no better way to get involved. I mean, the technology is available to us. It's right at our handheld. Amount of content and quality content. It's not TikTok. It's the YouTubes and the great electrical engineers. And ultimately, too, is that this is kind of a point to the adults right now, is that look for ways to create environments that it can be trained and can be educated. Right now, we see a lot of these school systems and programs that are starting to pop up that include renewable energy degrees. Not everybody wants to be a doctor. Not everybody wants to be a lawyer, even though I appreciate both of them. But ultimately those guys need energy too. It's a request and a requirement that will never end, and it's the best security of any position that I see right now outside of the medical field. So really look for ways that you can get involved.
Excellent. What a great way to let's end on that note. What a great way to end the program. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much. Everett Brewer, founder and CEO of Stores Power, here at the Beyond Emissions podcast. And of course, again, folks, by the way, Everett, you got me fired up. I am more excited about stores than ever before. So I promise you, as energy storage manager here at Sologent, I will be making a strong recommendation to customers who reach out and are asking from a consultant standpoint. Ultimately, that's what my job is, to consult customers on what's the best solution for them. I try to be unbiased like a doctor. So it's just really about figuring out that customer situation, what's right, customized for them, personalized for them. And I'm telling you, I'm in love with what I heard today and what you shared with us today. You really got me fired up. I will be making strong recommendations for customers to give Stores Power a really good try. I think that you've proven yourself. And wow, I'm very impressed. Thank you very much for being here. Again, Everett Brewer, you have really, really opened the eyes of all of our listeners today. And especially with the strategy of EV charging, really just knocked it out of the park at the end. Like, wow, how comprehensive can you get? And you did it. I mean, it's like, okay, this is a great show. Oh my God, it's even gotten better. So thank you very much for your partnership. I'm looking forward to recommending Stores Power to our customers. Folks, click on the link below. Get Stores Power today from Solligent. For our listeners that would like to contact you, learn more about Stores Power directly, how can they reach you, Everett?
Absolutely. So Stores Power is available on all the major social media platforms. So LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and please make sure you give us a follow, get the latest updates, the latest availability of trainings are always posted there so that way you can continually get education through the entire lifespan of what we're doing. Also go in the past to actually catch up to some of the older content. We really appreciate these kind of relationships. Josh, I got to give it to you. This is an amazing platform that you've created where you can actually, be on the top of the hilltops and making sure these messages are loud and proud. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing. And of course, look for me on social, Everett Brewer. Love to keep in touch with you guys, be a part of your future, and see what we can do to make this all happen together.
Excellent. Everett Brewer, CEO and founder of Stores Power. That's Stores with a Z, Stores Power. Go to storespower.com to find out more. Everett, thank you. Everett, you'll be back. I'll invite you again. We want to continue this conversation, maybe even get a customer on with us that can give us like a testimonial or something. That would be super cool. Excellent, Everett. Hang on the line for our engineers, and I'll be right back. Stores Power available at Solligent. I'm excited. Very, very proud of Solligent, your total clean energy solution provider, pioneering solar distribution since 1979. We have the solution for you. And Stores Power is an amazing company available right here at Solligent. Build a smarter battery, not just a bigger battery. Welcome to the AI plus smart solar energy storage systems, powerful enough to cover your entire home, where you control your power up to 200 amps. It's just at your fingertips. Scalable as well. I mean, we can really create anything for you. Total support. And now offering a 25-year warranty on all batteries. I mean, where else can you get a 25-year warranty on your batteries? Stores Power is where. Right here at Solligent. Click on the link below to find out more. Go to solligent.net. Just leave me a message too. You can email me directly, storage@solligent.net. That's storage@solligent.net. Josh Brum, Energy Storage Manager here at Solligent. And of course, your humble host for the Beyond Emissions podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below so that you can be a part of the ongoing conversation about how to create this world that is beyond emissions.
We at Solligent are incredibly excited to announce our partnership with GivePower. Well, we wouldn't be here today talking to you about GivePower if it wasn't for our partners, LoanPal. They've been with GivePower since the beginning. Their contribution has given water and light to countless people across the globe. We are truly inspired by LoanPal's dedication to the cause. Something LoanPal said really strikes a chord regarding GivePower, that this is something that's more than money. It's what makes making money more worthwhile. In a lot of ways, that's synonymous with what we're doing here at Solligent.
Here's how you can help.
What we've decided to do is compound LoanPal's contribution by donating to GivePower on every order paid via our direct pay program through LoanPal. That's right. Every time your company uses your LoanPal portal to pay Solligent for material, 5 people get clean drinking water for a full year.
Together we're stronger.
Together, we can choose to be extraordinary by giving to people who live outside our reach. To us, this means a lot more.
Solligent's purpose meets GivePower's mission. Join the impact. Solligent, Solar Engine. SolarEngineSolutions.com. Go there to find out more.